My spoon froze halfway to my mouth as a beam from the chandelier caught the stone on Charlotte's finger. It shot a blinding gleam straight toward me, like a sniper aiming right at the heart of my self-esteem. My sister wasn't just wearing an engagement ring. She was conducting the air with it, like a maestro confidently leading the symphony of my humiliation. The table was lively, but to me the sounds grew muffled, fading beneath the rising buzz in my ears. I caught myself already rehearsing her wedding in my head, not as a celebration, but as a battlefield where I was cast as the lone miserable extra, the most pitiable guest in the room, someone everyone would either pity or worse try hard to ignore. The realization washed over me suddenly and sharply, not like a guess but a verdict. And Preston surprised me with dinner at Lou Bernardine before proposing, Charlotte gushes, her manicured hand catching the light in a way that makes the diamond look like it could fund a small country. He said he knew from our first date that I was the woman he wanted to marry. My mother practically swoons. Charlotte, honey, you're living a fairy tale. A successful lawyer engaged to an investment banker who absolutely adores you. I couldn't be prouder. I take a large gulp of wine and try not to choke on the irony. Charlotte has always been the golden child. Valedictorian, homecoming queen, law review editor. The daughter who brings home prestigious boyfriends and career achievements like they're souvenirs from a life I'll never be able to afford to visit. Meanwhile, I'm Maya, the younger sister who chose art over ambition, freelance graphic design over corporate climbing, and apparently eternal singlehood over the kind of romantic success that makes mothers beam with pride. Maya, Charlotte says with that particular tone of voice that means she's about to deliver a perfectly aimed emotional blow disguised as sisterly concern. I do hope you'll bring someone special to the wedding. It's going to be such a romantic celebration. The pause that follows is loaded with family history. Everyone at this table knows that I've never brought a boyfriend to a family event. Not because I'm choosy or independent or focused on my career. Simply because in my 28 years of existence, I've never had a relationship that lasted longer than 3 months or felt significant enough to subject to Charlotte's scrutiny. I'm sure Maya will figure something out, my father says kindly, which somehow makes it worse because his tone suggests he's also not particularly optimistic about my romantic prospects. Actually, Charlotte continues, her voice dripping with false sweetness, I was hoping to ask you something, Maya. Would you be my maid of honor? My heart should leap at this honor, but I know my sister too well. There's definitely a catch. I'm flattered, Charlotte. Of course. Wonderful. The other bridesmaids are all married or in serious relationships, so it'll be lovely to have you there to balance things out. I do hope you won't feel awkward being the only single person in the wedding party. There it is. The trap sprung with surgical precision. Charlotte has just found a way to highlight my romantic failures in front of our entire extended family, while making it look like she's honoring me. I'll be standing at the altar as her maid of honor, representing the cautionary tale of what happens when you don't prioritize finding a husband. Oh, Charlotte, I hear myself saying before my brain can stop me. I'm actually seeing someone now, someone wonderful. I'll definitely be bringing him as my plus one. The words hang in the air like a lie detector alarm. Charlotte's perfectly practiced smile falters for just a moment, the first crack I've seen in her composure in years. Really? My mother perks up with the kind of excitement typically reserved for lottery announcements. Maya, why didn't you tell us? What's his name? What does he do? How did you meet? It's still pretty new, I say, improvising frantically. We're taking things slow, but it's really special. I didn't want to jinx it by talking about it too soon. Charlotte recovers quickly, but I catch the slight tightening around her eyes. That means she's annoyed. For once in our lives, I've surprised her with something that isn't a disappointment. How exciting, Charlotte says, though her tone suggests she finds it anything but. I can't wait to meet this mystery man. What's his name? My mind goes completely blank. I'm 28 years old, sitting in my childhood dining room, having just invented a boyfriend out of thin air to avoid being pitted at my sister's wedding, and I can't even come up with a fake name. Alexander, I blurt out, choosing the first name that pops into my head. His name is Alexander and he's a veterinarian. My mother clasps her hands together. How wonderful. Someone who cares about animals. That's so you, Maya. Yes, I agree, digging myself deeper into this hole with every word. He's very caring and smart and handsome. Obviously, Charlotte repeats, and I can hear the skepticism in her voice. As my family continues to pepper me with questions about my fictional boyfriend, I realize I've just committed myself to producing a convincing romantic partner in 6 weeks. Not just any partner. Someone good enough to prove to Charlotte and my entire family that Maya, the perpetual disappointment, has finally managed to find love. I excuse myself to the bathroom and stare at my reflection in the mirror, taking in my flushed cheeks and slightly panicked expression. I've just claimed to have something I've never possessed, a relationship worth showing off. And now I have 6 weeks to make it real or at least convincing. The question is, how exactly does someone acquire a fake boyfriend sophisticated enough to fool a family of overachievers and charming enough to wipe the smug satisfaction off Charlotte's perfect face? As I walk back to the dining room, listening to Charlotte regale everyone with more details about her perfect engagement to her perfect fiancé, I know one thing for certain. I'm not walking into that wedding as the pitted single sister. Not this time. Even if it kills me or costs me every penny I have saved. Because for once in my life I'm going to be the sister who wins. 24 hours after the dinner from hell, I'm hunched over my laptop at 2 a.m., Googling how to hire a fake boyfriend like it's a completely normal Tuesday night activity. The search results are concerning: escort websites that make me slam my laptop shut in horror, sketchy Craigslist ads that scream serial killer, and acting agencies that want headshots and resumes like I'm casting a Broadway show instead of trying to survive a family wedding. This is insane. I mutter to myself, opening another tab. I'm literally shopping for a human being like he's a handbag. But then I find it. Perfect +1 professional companions for social events. The website is clean, legitimate looking, with testimonials from women who hired companions for work parties, weddings, and family reunions. No weird photos, no suggestive language, just professional people helping other professional people avoid social awkwardness. I dial the number before I can chicken out. Perfect +1, this is Jennifer. How can I help you today? Hi. I need a companion for my sister's wedding. Of course. We specialize in providing the perfect partner for important social events. Let me schedule you a consultation. 2 hours later, I'm sitting in Jennifer's downtown office, feeling like I'm applying for a loan to buy imaginary happiness. So, Jennifer says, scrolling through profiles on her tablet, tell me about your ideal companion for this event. Someone believable. Someone my family won't immediately recognize as hired help. Someone who can handle a room full of lawyers and investment bankers without looking intimidated. Jennifer nods knowingly. High-pressure family event. We see this a lot. Here are some options. She shows me profile after profile of devastatingly handsome men who look like they stepped out of a catalog. Too perfect, too obviously performing, too much like exactly what they are. Actors playing a role. These are all lovely, I say diplomatically, but they're a bit obvious. My sister will spot a fake from across the room. Jennifer taps her pen against her lips. We do have one more option. He's newer to our roster. Slightly more expensive, and he's very selective about clients, but he gets incredible reviews for authenticity. She swipes to a new profile and my breath catches. The man in the photo has warm brown eyes, a genuine smile, and something indefinably familiar about his face. He's handsome, but not intimidatingly so, professional but approachable. Alexander Carter, Jennifer reads. He's actually a veterinarian who does this work occasionally to help pay off his student loans. Educated, charming, great with families. He only takes clients when he feels like he can genuinely connect with the person and the situation. He's perfect, I say immediately. Something about his smile makes me feel like I could trust him with this completely bizarre situation. Wonderful. His rate is $1,500 for the weekend plus expenses. My savings account flashes before my eyes, but Charlotte's smug face flashes brighter. Done. Excellent. I'll arrange a consultation meeting, so you two can discuss the details of your relationship. As I leave Jennifer's office with Alexander Carter's contact information, I realize I'm about to pay a stranger more money than I spend on rent to pretend to love me for 48 hours. But if it means wiping the satisfied smirk off Charlotte's face when she realizes that Maya actually managed to find someone wonderful, it might be worth every penny. Now I just have to hope that Alexander Carter is as good at playing the perfect boyfriend as his profile suggests. Because failure is not an option when you've spent your entire life being the sister who never wins. I'm sitting in a cozy coffee shop downtown, nervously shredding my napkin while scanning every man who walks through the door. When someone taps my shoulder, I turn around and nearly knock over my latte. Alexander Carter is even more attractive in person. But what strikes me isn't his looks, it's how at ease he seems. Most people would find this situation awkward, but he's smiling like we're old friends meeting for lunch. Maya. I'm Alex. His handshake is warm, confident. Thanks for meeting me. I have to say this is one of the more interesting requests I've gotten. Thanks for not thinking I'm completely insane. Trust me, you're not even close to the weirdest client I've had. Last month, I pretended to be someone's boyfriend at her high school reunion to prove to her ex that she'd moved on. Turned out she hadn't, and I spent most of the night talking her out of drunk texting him. I laughed despite my nerves. Did it work? She's happily single and blocked his number, so I'd call it a success. Alex sits across from me, and I'm struck by how natural this feels. He asks about my coffee order, comments on the artwork on the walls, and somehow makes small talk feel genuine instead of forced. So tell me about your sister, he says, pulling out a small notebook. And don't worry, this stays completely confidential. For the next hour, I find myself telling Alex everything about Charlotte's constant achievements, my perpetual second-place status, the engagement announcement that felt like another reminder of my romantic failures. She's not trying to be malicious, I explain. She's just always been better at everything and making me maid of honor while knowing I'm the only single person in the wedding party. It's classic Charlotte. She gets to look generous while highlighting my failures. Alex nods thoughtfully. So, this isn't really about having a boyfriend. It's about not being seen as the sad single sister. Exactly. I just want one family event where I'm not the object of pity. Then let's make sure that doesn't happen. Alex flips to a fresh page. We need a believable story. How did we meet? For the next hour, we craft our fictional relationship with surprising ease. Alex suggests we met through mutual friends at a gallery opening. Something that fits my art background perfectly. He asks about my interests, my favorite foods, my travel dreams, and somehow weaves them all into a coherent backstory. You're really good at this. I observe as Alex seamlessly creates a story about our first date at a farmer's market. I like people. I like understanding what makes them tick. He pauses. Can I ask you something personal? More personal than hiring you to be my fake boyfriend. Why do you think you haven't found someone real? Because from this conversation you seem pretty amazing. The question catches me off guard. I don't know. Bad timing. Wrong guys. Maybe I'm just not the type of person who inspires grand romantic gestures. I disagree. I think you just haven't met someone who sees you clearly. There's something in the way he says it that makes my heart skip. For a moment, I forget this is a business transaction. Anyway, Alex continues, closing his notebook. I think we have a solid foundation. Should we practice being a couple? Maybe go to dinner somewhere public. Get comfortable with the dynamic. You want to rehearse dating me? I want to make sure this is so believable that even you forget it's fake. As Alex reaches across the table to take my hand, a casual gesture that feels surprisingly intimate, I realize I might be in trouble because the way he's looking at me with genuine warmth and interest is already making me forget this isn't real. Don't worry, Maya, he says softly. We're going to give your sister's wedding something to talk about. The confidence in his voice makes me believe him. For the first time since Charlotte's engagement announcement, I actually feel excited about this wedding. I just hope I can remember that Alex's affection is part of the performance, not something real. We need to look like we're genuinely comfortable with each other. Alex says as we walk into Romano's, my favorite Italian restaurant. So, I'm going to hold your hand and you're going to let me order wine for us. You researched my favorite restaurant. I researched everything about you that's publicly available. Your Instagram shows you here at least twice a month. Always ordering the same pasta. I'm torn between being impressed and slightly unnerved. That's very thorough. I don't do anything halfway. Alex guides me to a corner table, his hand warm on my lower back, including fake relationships. The evening unfolds like the best first date I've never had. Alex remembers that I mentioned loving white wine, but preferring red with pasta, so he orders both. When I unconsciously reach for the bread basket, He's already pushing it closer to me. How do you know I always eat the bread first? You mentioned being a stress eater and you've been shredding your napkin since we sat down. Plus, you keep glancing at the kitchen like you're worried they'll run out of food. I don't do that. You absolutely do that. It's adorable. The way he says it with genuine affection rather than practice charm makes my cheeks warm. Tell me something real about yourself, I say suddenly. Something not in your perfect +1 profile. Alex considers this, twirling his pasta thoughtfully. I wanted to be a children's book illustrator when I was younger before I decided on veterinary medicine. What changed your mind? My dog died when I was 12. The vet was so kind, so gentle with both me and my family. I decided I wanted to help other kids not lose their pets the way I lost mine. That's beautiful. Do you still draw sometimes? Mostly sketches of the animals I treat. He looks almost shy. What about you? What made you choose graphic design? I wanted to create things that made people feel something. Charlotte was always about logic and strategy, but I wanted to touch people's emotions through visual storytelling. Do you touch people's emotions? I like to think so. My best work happens when I can really understand what my client needs to communicate, like what we're doing right now. The parallel hits me. We're both trying to communicate something that isn't technically true, but feels emotionally authentic. After dinner, Alex suggests we walk through Riverside Park, the place where I spent most of my childhood. As we stroll past the playground, Alex stops suddenly. This swing set used to have a different color scheme, he says, studying the equipment. It was blue and yellow, not red and green. How could you possibly know that? I told you I researched thoroughly. Old city planning documents, historical photos. Alex, city planning documents don't include playground color schemes. He's quiet for a moment, then smiles. You're right. I may have gotten a little carried away with my preparation. Something about his expression seems almost nostalgic. But before I can analyze it further, Alex takes my hand. We should practice this, he says. The casual intimacy. Your family will notice if we seem awkward together. His fingers intertwine with mine naturally. And when an elderly couple smiles at us approvingly, I realize we must look genuinely happy together. You're really good at this, I tell him as we head back to our cars. So are you maybe too good? What do you mean? Alex stops walking and turns to face me. Maya, I need you to know something. When we're at your sister's wedding and I look at you like I'm crazy about you, I won't be acting. My heart stops. Alex, I'm not saying this to complicate things. I'm saying it so you understand that what you're seeing from me is real. I want you to feel confident and cherished this weekend. And the easiest way to do that is to stop pretending that spending time with you is work. Before I can respond, he kisses my forehead gently. Get some sleep, Maya. This weekend we're going to show your family exactly how incredible you are. As I drive home, I realize that somewhere between the restaurant and the park, this stopped feeling like practice and started feeling like the beginning of something real. The problem is I have no idea if Alex meant what he said, or if making me believe it is just part of what makes him so good at his job. Alex picks me up Friday evening in a sleek black car, looking devastatingly handsome in a navy blazer that brings out his eyes. When he sees me in my cocktail dress, his smile is so genuine that for a moment I forget this is all pretend. Ready to meet the family? He asks, offering me his arm. As ready as someone can be for voluntary torture. The drive to Charlotte's Country Club feels both too long and too short. Alex keeps the conversation light, asking about my cousin Emma and my grandmother Rose. Details I mentioned in passing during our planning sessions, but that he somehow filed away perfectly. Remember, Alex says as we pull up to the valet stand. We've been together 6 months. We're taking things slow but getting serious and I adore you. Right. And you're a veterinarian who loves hiking and cooking but can't keep houseplants alive. Perfect. Oh, and Maya. Alex takes my hand as we walk toward the entrance. Stop looking so nervous. You're stunning, you're successful. And you're with someone who thinks you're incredible. Charlotte doesn't stand a chance. The rehearsal dinner is already in full swing. When we arrive, I spot Charlotte immediately, radiant in designer everything, holding court near the bar with Preston and his groomsmen. My stomach tightens with familiar anxiety. Then Charlotte sees me. Her eyes widen as she takes an Alex beside me. And for the first time in my life, I watch my perfect sister look genuinely surprised. Pa. She glides over air kissing me while studying Alex like he's a puzzle she needs to solve. You must be the mysterious Alexander. Alex, he says warmly, extending his hand. And you must be the bride. Ma has told me so many wonderful things about you. I haven't told him any wonderful things about Charlotte, but somehow Alex makes it sound completely sincere. Have you? Charlotte's smile is perfectly polite and completely calculating. How lovely. Ma has been so secretive about you. I can understand why, Alex says, slipping his arm around my waist with practiced ease. When you find something precious, you want to protect it. My mother appears as if summoned by wedding radar. This must be Alexander. Maya, he's even more handsome than you described. Alex charms my mother effortlessly, asking about her garden and complimenting her dress. When my father joins us, Alex transitions seamlessly into a conversation about small business ownership that shows he's done his research on Dad's accounting firm. How did you two meet again? Charlotte interjects during a lull gallery opening. Alex and I say simultaneously, then laugh. We tell that story so often we've got it synchronized. Alex explains. Maya was standing in front of this incredible abstract piece, just completely absorbed in it. I couldn't help but ask what she was seeing that I was missing. And what was I seeing? I asked, curious to hear how he'll handle this. Alex looks at me with such tenderness that my breath catches. You said it reminded you of how falling in love should feel. Overwhelming and beautiful and a little terrifying, but impossible to look away from. The table falls silent for a moment. My cousin Emma actually sigh audibly. That's incredibly romantic, my mother says, dabbing at her eyes. I stare at Alex, wondering when he became such a master storyteller, because I'm half convinced I actually said those words to him at a gallery opening. As the evening progresses, Alex proves himself perfect. He's attentive without being clingy, charming without overshadowing me, and protective without being possessive. When Charlotte makes a subtle dig about my previous dating disasters, Alex deflects with humor that makes everyone laugh while making it clear he thinks I'm amazing. But I notice strange moments. Alex knows where the bathroom is without asking. The waiter greets him by name. He seems familiar with several family friends who remember him fondly. Alex, didn't you used to live around here? My Aunt Carol asks during dessert. Briefly, Alex says smoothly. A long time ago. Small world. That night, sharing our hotel room, I confront him about it. You lived here before, didn't you? That's how you know so much about the area. Alex is quiet for a long moment, sitting on the edge of his bed. Maya, there's something I should tell you. What? This weekend it means more to me than just a job. Being here with you, meeting your family again. Again? Alex looks at me with an expression I can't quite read. Get some sleep. Tomorrow's a big day. But as I lie awake, I can't shake the feeling that Alex is keeping something important from me. Something that might change everything about why he took this job in the first place. The wedding ceremony is beautiful, and for the first time at a family event, I actually feel confident instead of inadequate. Alex holds my hand during the vows, and when I get emotional watching Charlotte promise to love Preston forever, he hands me tissues without being asked and rubs my back soothingly. You okay? He whispers. Just thinking about how love should look. I whisper back, echoing the gallery story he told last night. Alex's expression grows tender. It should look exactly like this. I'm not sure if he means Charlotte and Preston or something else entirely. After the ceremony at the cocktail reception, I'm floating on the success of our performance. Charlotte's friends keep complimenting me on my gorgeous boyfriend, and my relatives seem genuinely delighted that I finally found someone special. That's when I overhear my Aunt Carol talking to my cousin Emma near the bar. Isn't it wonderful that little Maya finally found someone? Aunt Carol says, adjusting her fascinator. And Alex was such a sweet boy when they were children. I always hoped he'd reconnect with our family. My blood runs cold. I step closer, pretending to examine the flower arrangements. I remember how devastated Maya was when the Carter family moved away, Emma replies. She was only 12, but she moped for months, said her best friend was gone forever. Carter, Alex Carter. The pieces slam together with devastating clarity. Alex isn't just familiar with this area. He lived here. He didn't research my childhood playground from city planning documents. He played there with me. Alex Carter is little Alex from down the street. The quiet boy who walked me to school every day. Who helped me with math homework. who defended me from bullies when Charlotte was too busy with her honor society meetings to notice I was struggling. The boy who moved away when we were 12 and broke my young heart. I find Alex near the champagne fountain looking devastatingly handsome and completely comfortable chatting with my father about veterinary school. When he sees me approaching, his smile falters at whatever expression is on my face. Why? Everything okay? Can I talk to you privately? We step outside onto the country club's terrace. The late afternoon sun makes everything golden and romantic, which feels like a cruel irony given what I'm about to say. You're Alex Carter, I say without preamble. From Maple Street. You lived 3 houses down from us until you were 12. Alex's face goes very still. Why? You recognized me when I contacted the agency, didn't you? This whole thing taking my case, the natural chemistry, knowing exactly what I needed to hear. It's all been because you already knew me. It's not what you think, isn't it? My voice rises slightly. You let me believe we had some magical instant connection when really you were just drawing on 15 years of stored knowledge about my personality. You know, I eat bread first at restaurants because you probably watched me do it 100 times when we were kids. Maya, please let me explain. Explain what? That you've been lying to me since the moment we met. That everything I thought was natural and amazing was actually just you having an unfair advantage. Alex runs his hands through his hair, looking genuinely distressed. I didn't plan this. When your profile came through the agency, I couldn't believe it was really you. I thought maybe this was the universe giving me a second chance. A second chance at what? At telling you how I felt about you back then, at showing you who I became. At seeing if what I felt as a kid could become something real as an adult. I stare at him, processing this revelation. You've been in love with me since we were children. Since the day you shared your lunch with me when I forgot mine in 3rd grade. Since you cried when I had to move away. Since you wrote me letters that first year that I've kept in a box under my bed for 15 years. My heart is breaking and soaring simultaneously. Alex, I know this is crazy. I know it's complicated, but Maya, everything you felt between us this week was real. At least from my side. Before I can respond, Charlotte appears in the doorway. Maya, they're calling for photos. As I walk back inside, my mind is reeling. The perfect fake boyfriend I hired to help me save face at my sister's wedding is actually my first love. All grown up and apparently still in love with me. The question is, what am I going to do about it? I barely make it through the photo session, smiling on autopilot while my mind races. After an hour of posing with Charlotte and the wedding party, I corner Alex by the garden fountain where no one can overhear us. I need to understand, I say without preamble. All of it from the beginning. Alex sits on the fountain's edge, looking suddenly vulnerable in his expensive suit. After my family moved to Portland, I never stopped thinking about you. I followed your art on Instagram. Heard about your life through mutual acquaintances we still had here. You've been watching me for 15 years. Not watching. Caring from a distance. When I graduated veterinary school, I thought about reaching out, but what was I supposed to say? Hey, remember your childhood friend who disappeared? Want to grab coffee? That would have been honest, and you probably would have been polite and busy and treated me like a nostalgic stranger. Alex's voice grows quiet. Maya, you were the most important person in my world when we were kids, and I was just Alex from down the street. I think back to our childhood friendship, remembering how Alex always seemed to fade into the background when Charlotte and her friends were around. How I took his constant presence for granted because he was just always there. That's not true. You were my best friend. I was your convenient friend, the one who walked you to school and helped with homework, and listened to you talk about all the boys you thought were cute. I never talked about boys with you. You talked about Danny Morrison in 5th grade for 3 months straight. The memory hits me like a slap. Oh God, I did. I completely forgot. I sit beside him on the fountain. Alex, I was 11. I didn't understand. I know that's not your fault, but watching the girl you're crazy about develop crushes on everyone except you is pretty devastating when you're 12. Why didn't you say anything? Because I was 12 and terrified and convinced that telling you would ruin our friendship. And then my dad got transferred and suddenly I was moving 3,000 miles away, and I never got the chance. I remember that last day how Alex had seemed sadder than usual about the move. How I'd cried and promised to write every week. How I'd actually done it for almost a year before life and new friends made our correspondence fade. I kept your letters, Alex says softly. Every single one. In the first one, you drew me a picture of our school playground and wrote, "So you don't forget where we used to swing together." My throat tightens. You really kept them. They're in a shoebox in my bedroom closet along with the friendship bracelet you made me, and that terrible photo of us at your 10th birthday party where I'm covered in chocolate cake. You still have that photo, Maya. I've carried a torch for you for half my life. When your profile came through the agency, it felt like fate giving me another chance. But you didn't tell me who you were because I was terrified you'd reject me before I could show you who I'd become. I thought if I could just remind you of what we had as kids, maybe you'd be open to seeing what we could have as adults. So you decided to trick me instead. Alex flinches. I decided to court you the only way I knew how. By being the man I've always wanted to be for you. I'm quiet for a long moment, processing everything. When did you become a veterinarian? Partly because you once said you wanted to help animals when you grew up. I know that sounds pathetic. It sounds like love. Alex looks at me with such hope that my heart aches. Is it too crazy? Is it too much? Because I can walk away right now if this is more than you can handle. I think about the past week, how natural everything felt with Alex. How he seemed to understand me in ways no one ever had. How safe and cherished he made me feel. Alex, what if I don't remember you the way you remember me? What if I've idealized our childhood friendship? Then we get to know each other as the adults we are now. Maya, I'm not asking you to love me because of who we were when we were kids. I'm asking you to consider loving me for who we could be together now. And if it doesn't work out, then at least we'll know we tried. And I'll have gotten to spend this weekend being your boyfriend, even if it was just pretend. Looking at Alex, really looking at him, I can suddenly see the quiet, kind boy who used to walk me to school every morning. The boy who made me feel special when Charlotte made me feel invisible. I need time to think, I tell him. Of course. Take all the time you need. As we walk back toward the reception, Alex's hand finds mine naturally, and I don't pull away. Because underneath all the confusion and surprise, one thing is becoming clear. My feelings for Alex this week haven't been about the performance. They've been about him, the real him. The question is whether I'm brave enough to find out where this could lead. Sunday morning, I wake up in my hotel bed, having barely slept. Alex is already up, sitting by the window with coffee, looking out at the gardens where we used to play hide and seek as children. I remember now, I say quietly, and he turns toward me. The day you moved away, you tried to tell me something, but the moving truck arrived before you could finish. Alex sets down his coffee cup carefully. You remember that? I asked you what you wanted to say, and you just shook your head and said, maybe someday. I thought about it for months afterward. I was going to tell you that I loved you, that you were the best thing about living here, and that I'd find a way to come back for you someday. Why didn't you? Because we were 12 and I was moving 3,000 miles away. And it seemed cruel to burden you with something that couldn't lead anywhere. I sit up in bed, pulling my knees to my chest. Alex, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be completely honest. Anything. Have you been comparing every woman you've met to a 12-year-old version of me? Because that's not fair to them or to you or to who I actually am now. Alex is quiet for a long moment. That's a fair question, and honestly for a long time. Yes, I did compare everyone to you. But Maya, spending this week with you hasn't been about recapturing some childhood fantasy. What has it been about? Discovering that the girl I fell in love with when I was 12 grew up to be an even more incredible woman. You're funnier than I remembered, stronger than I expected, and more beautiful than any memory could capture. But you still had an unfair advantage. You knew exactly what to say to make me feel special. Did I? Because most of this week, I've been terrified I was going to mess it up. Yes, I knew you loved Italian food and preferred red wine with pasta. But I didn't know you developed that habit of organizing your purse when you're nervous, or that you hum when you're really happy, or that you get that little crease between your eyebrows when you're trying not to cry. I touch my forehead self-consciously. I don't do that. You're doing it right now. He's right. I am. Maya, here's what I should have told you from the beginning. I've been in love with the idea of you for 15 years. But this week, I fell in love with the reality of you. And the reality is so much better than any memory. What if this is just nostalgia? What if you're projecting childhood feelings onto an adult situation? What if you're overthinking this because you're scared? Alex stands up and sits on the edge of my bed. Maya, forget about our history for a minute. Forget about the agency and the fake boyfriend arrangement. Just tell me, how did you feel when you thought we just met? I think about our coffee shop meeting, our practice dates, the way my heart raced when he held my hand. Like I'd found something I didn't know I was looking for. And how do you feel now knowing who I really am? Confused, overwhelmed, like maybe the universe has a strange sense of humor. And still like I found something I didn't know I was looking for. Alex reaches for my hand tentatively. Maya, I can't promise this won't be complicated. I can't promise that having history won't make some things harder. But I can promise that my feelings for you, the adult you, the woman sitting here right now, are completely real. Alex, what if I can't live up to 15 years of buildup? What if the reality of being with me disappoints you? What if it doesn't? What if it's everything I hoped and things I never dared to dream? That's a big risk. The biggest risk would be walking away from this without finding out. I look at Alex, really look at him. Past the handsome face and perfect manners to the earnest, kind heart that's been carrying love for me all these years. If we do this, I say slowly, we do it honestly. No more secrets, no more performance, just us figuring out who we are together. Just us, Alex agrees. Starting now. Starting now. But as we sit there holding hands in the morning light, I realize that our real beginning isn't actually starting now. It started 15 years ago with a shy boy who was brave enough to love me, and it's been waiting patiently for me to be brave enough to love him back. The wedding's farewell brunch is supposed to be a casual goodbye to the weekend's festivities, but I can feel the weight of unfinished business between Alex and me. We've been polite and careful with each other all morning, like we're both afraid to acknowledge what we discussed in the hotel room. Charlotte, radiant in her going-away outfit, stands to make a speech as everyone finishes their mimosas and eggs Benedict. Preston and I want to thank everyone for making our wedding weekend so magical. She begins, her voice carrying that practiced charm that served her so well in court. It means the world to us to have been surrounded by the people we love most. She pauses, scanning the room with a smile that lands on me with particular precision. I especially want to thank my sister Maya for being such a wonderful maid of honor. And it's been absolutely delightful to meet Alex. Charlotte's tone is warm, but I catch the subtle emphasis that suggests surprise. It's so wonderful to see Maya finally in such a serious relationship. The word finally hangs in the air like a small barb wrapped in silk. Even in her moment of triumph, Charlotte can't resist the subtle reminder that I was the sister who took longer to figure things out. Before I can formulate a response that doesn't involve throwing my napkin at her perfect face, Alex stands up. Actually, Charlotte, thank you for giving me the opportunity to say something. My blood turns to ice. Is he about to confess everything? Expose our arrangement in front of my entire extended family? I know Maya and I haven't been together very long, Alex continues, taking my hand and pulling me to my feet beside him. And I know that from the outside, it might seem sudden or convenient that she brought someone to such an important family celebration. Oh God, he's going to tell them. He's going to humiliate me in front of everyone. But I need everyone in this room to understand something. Alex's voice grows stronger, more confident. Maya didn't bring me here to prove anything to anyone. She brought me here because she's brave enough to share the most important people in her life with someone she cares about. I stare at Alex, my panic slowly transforming into something else entirely. Meeting Maya again, Alex catches himself but continues smoothly, has been the most unexpected gift of my life. She's brilliant and kind and funny and talented, and she makes me want to be the best version of myself every single day. My cousin Emma sighs audibly from across the room. Maya, Alex continues, turning to face me fully. I know this weekend was supposed to be about supporting your sister and celebrating Charlotte and Preston, but I can't let this moment pass without telling you, in front of all the people who love you most, exactly how I feel. My heart is pounding so hard I'm sure everyone can hear it. I love you, Alex says simply. Not because it's convenient or expected or because it makes a good story. I love you because you're everything I never knew I was looking for, and everything I've always hoped I could deserve. The room has gone completely silent. Even Charlotte looks genuinely moved, her calculated composure momentarily replaced by what might actually be surprise and pleasure for her sister. Alex. I whisper because I can't seem to manage full volume. I know this is unconventional, Alex continues, his eyes never leaving mine. I know public declarations can feel like pressure instead of romance, but Maya, I've spent too many years wondering what if to waste another moment being afraid. He reaches into his jacket pocket, and for one wild second I think he's going to propose. Instead, he pulls out a small wrapped package. This isn't a ring, he says with a smile that makes my knees weak. It's a promise. I unwrap the package with shaking hands. Inside is a delicate silver bracelet with a small charm. A tiny artist's palette with a minuscule heart painted in the center. Maya, Alex says softly, will you let me take you on a real first date? Will you give us a chance to see what this could be, when it's not about anyone else's expectations or timeline? The entire room is holding its breath. I can see my mother dabbing at her eyes with her napkin. My father looks genuinely moved. Even Charlotte seems to have forgotten to maintain her superior composure. Yes, I say, and then louder. Yes, absolutely yes. Alex kisses me then, soft and sweet and real. And I can hear applause and cheering from our families, but all I can focus on is the way this feels. Not like performing or pretending, but like coming home. When we break apart, Alex whispers in my ear, no more fake anything. Just us. Just us, I agree. And for the first time in my life, being the center of attention at a family event feels exactly right. Charlotte approaches us as the excitement dies down, and I brace myself for whatever perfectly crafted comment she's prepared. Maya, she says, and her voice is softer than usual. I'm happy for you. Really happy. Alex seems wonderful. Thank you, Charlotte. That means a lot. And Alex, Charlotte continues, turning to him with a smile that seems genuinely warm. Welcome to the family. Take care of my sister always. Alex promises, and I believe him completely. As we leave the brunch together, Alex and I walking hand in hand toward whatever comes next, I realize that my plan to avoid being the pitted single sister worked better than I ever imagined. I'm not just avoiding pity anymore. I'm genuinely, completely, honestly happy. And for the first time in my life, Charlotte's approval is just a nice bonus instead of something I desperately need. I'm sitting at my family's dining room table again, but everything is different now. Alex is beside me, his hand resting naturally on my knee as he discusses his veterinary practice's expansion with my father. Charlotte is across from us, genuinely glowing with early pregnancy. And for the first time in my life, her news doesn't make me feel inadequate. Maya designed all of Alex's marketing materials, my mother tells Charlotte proudly. They're such a wonderful team. Business partners and life partners, Charlotte says with a smile that seems genuinely warm. That's rare. It is rare, and I know how lucky we are. The past 6 months have been like discovering a new language. The language of being with someone who truly knows you and chooses you anyway. Our first real date was at the same coffee shop where we'd met as fake strangers. But this time, Alex told me stories about 12-year-old Maya that made me laugh until I cried. Our second date was at the veterinary clinic where Alex introduced me to a rescued kitten named Palette, because she has your artistic spirit. Our third date was in my apartment, cooking dinner together while Alex told me about every letter I'd written him, and how he'd imagined what my adult life might look like. You know what's funny? I'd said that night, watching Alex expertly flip pancakes. I used to think you were just the quiet boy who followed me around. I was the quiet boy who followed you around, Alex had laughed. I was also completely head over heels in love with you and trying not to be obvious about it. You weren't obvious. You were just always there. That was the point. I wanted to be whatever you needed. And what do you want to be now? Alex had set down the spatula and pulled me into his arms. Your partner. Your equal. The person you choose to build a life with. Not someone who just follows you around hoping you'll notice him. I notice you now, I'd whispered. I know. That's what makes this real. Tonight, as we're finishing dessert, Charlotte drops her own news. Preston and I have been talking, she announces. And we'd love Alex and Maya to help us plan our baby shower. Maya has such wonderful creative ideas, and Alex is so good with people. 6 months ago, Being asked to plan Charlotte's party would have felt like being assigned to celebrate my own inadequacy. Tonight it just feels like my sister asking for help because she values what Alex and I bring to the table. We'd love to, I say, and I mean it. After dinner, Alex and I take our traditional walk through the old neighborhood. We stop at the playground where we used to swing together as kids, where Alex first started falling in love with me before either of us knew what love meant. Do you ever wonder what would have happened if your family hadn't moved? I ask, settling onto the swing beside him. Every day for about 10 years, Alex admits. But I think we needed the time apart. Why? Because you needed to become the woman who was brave enough to hire a fake boyfriend to prove her worth. And I needed to become the man who was worthy of that woman's real love. You were always worthy of my love, Alex. I was just too young and too focused on what everyone else thought to recognize it. And now I look at Alex in the lamplight, this man who loved me quietly for 15 years and then loved me boldly when I finally gave him the chance. Now I know that the best love stories aren't about perfect timing. They're about perfect people who choose each other over and over again, even when the timing is strange or complicated or completely ridiculous. Alex reaches for my hand, his thumb brushing over the silver bracelet he gave me at Charlotte's wedding. Maya, can I ask you something? Anything. What would you say if I told you I wanted to make this even more real? My heart skips. What do you mean? Alex slides off his swing and onto one knee in the same playground where we used to play as children, pulling out a small velvet box. Maya, I've loved you since we were 12 years old. I loved you through distance and time and all the years when I thought I'd lost you forever. But more than that, I choose you. I choose your creativity and your kindness and your terrible habit of eating dessert before dinner when you're stressed. I'm crying and laughing at the same time. I choose your family and your dreams and your beautiful heart that's big enough to love everyone. Even a sister who hasn't always been kind to you. Maya, will you marry me? Will you let me love you for real, forever? Yes, I whisper, then louder. Yes, absolutely yes. As Alex slips the ring onto my finger, I think about the terrified woman who hired a fake boyfriend 6 months ago to avoid being pitted at her sister's wedding. She never could have imagined that her desperate plan would lead to this. Genuine love, real partnership, and the kind of happiness that doesn't need anyone else's approval. I love you. I tell Alex as he stands up and kisses me. I love you too. The real you. The forever you. Walking home hand in hand, I realize that sometimes the best things in life come from the most unexpected places. And sometimes, if you're very lucky, the boy who loved you first grows up to be the man who loves you best. Charlotte was right about one thing. I'm living a fairy tale now.